शारदे पाहि मां शङ्कर रक्ष मां 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 शारदे पाहि मां शङ्कर रक्ष मां
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Welcome all for the Vande Vidya Shankaram series. Today we continue with our discourse on Vishnu Sahasranamam by Sri Pranav Swaminathan. Sharada Sharadamboja Vadanambuje Sarvata Sarvata Asmakam Sannidham Kriyat Bharati Karnapatram Bharati Padabhushanam Bharati Padmaradam Bharati Chittamashe Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vitaraham Vivekanam Vande Vedanta Tattvagnam Vidushekara Bharati Sadguru Charanarvindabhyam Namaha. Again, welcome all and thank you, Pranav. Please take it away. Thank you.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharyamadhyamam Asmadacharyaparyantam Vande Guruparamparam Bharati Karunapatram Bharati Padabhushanam Bharati Padamarudham Bharati Tirthamashraye Vidyavinagasampannam Vitaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvagnam Vidhushekhara Bharatim Sadguru Charanarvindabhyam Namaha. सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय कृष्णाय क्लिष्टकारिणे नमो वेदान्तवेद्याय गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे कृष्णद्वैपायनो व्यासं सर्वलोकहिते रतं वेदाब्जभास्करं वन्दे शमादिनिलयं मुनिं सहस्रमूर्तेः पुरुषोत्तमस्य सहस्रनेत्राननपादबाहोः सहस्रनाम्नां स्तवनं प्रशस्तं निरुच्यते जन्मजरादिशान्ति वैशम्पायनो जनमेजयमुवाच श्रुत्वा धर्मानशेषेण पावनानि च सर्वशः युधिष्ठिरश्नान्तनवं पुनरेवाभ्यभाषत युधिष्ठिर उवाच किमेकं दैवतं लोके किं वाप्येकं परागिणं स्तुवन्तः कं कमर्चन्तः प्राप्नुयुर्मानवाः शुभं को धर्मः सर्वधर्माणां भवतः परमो मतः किञ्जपन्मुच्यते जन्तुर्जन्मसंसारबन्धनात् श्रीभीष्म उत्तरमुवाच जगत्प्रभं देवदेवमनन्तं पुरुषोत्तमं स्तुवन्नाम सहस्रेण पुरुषः सततोत्थितः तमेव चार्चयन्नित्यं भक्त्या पुरुषमव्ययं ध्यायन् स्तुवन्नमस्यंश्च यजमानस्तमेव च अनादिनिधनं विष्णुं सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं लोकाध्यक्षं स्तवन्नित्यं सर्वदुःखातिगो भवेत् ब्रह्मण्यं सर्वधर्मज्ञं लोकानां कीर्तिवर्धनं लोकनाथं महद्भूतं सर्वभूतभवोद्भवम् एष मे सर्वधर्माणां धर्मोऽधिकतमो मतः यद्भक्त्या पुण्डरीकाक्षं स्तवैरर्चेन्नरः सदा परमय्यो महत्तेजः परमय्यो महत्तपः परमय्यो महद्ब्रह्म परमय्यः परायणं पवित्राणां पवित्रय्यो मङ्गलानां च मङ्गलं दैवतं देवतानां च भूतानां यो व्ययः पिता सर्वेभ्यो नमः. In the past multiple lectures, we have been looking at the shloka Pavitranam Pavitram Yaha Mangalanam Cha Mangalam Devatam Devatanam Cha Bhutanam Yaha Avyaha Pita. In this, we have seen so many quotations from Shruti, Smriti, Itihasas, and Puranas regarding Ekatva, Jiva Brahma Ikya, and in fact, the essence of the entire Vedanta Tattva has been summarized already in just the bhashya of this shloka. In the previous shlokas, hetus for Chitta Shuddhi were described. For example, in the when we were looking at the types of japa, how Krishna says, Yajnanam japa yajnosmi, and of all these tirthadi sthalas which have pavitratvam, how by doing all these external shuddhis, they're only temporary and we must be doing over and over again. But this pavitram is permanent. Like how Smriti says, Jnanagnis sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. So the Agni of Jnana makes all the previous karmas into bhasma. Like that, in this Kali Yuga, the chanting of Bhagavan Nama is said to be a hetu for moksha, chitta shuddhi, and tadvara moksha prapti. How is this? Because in the previous yugas, all these yajna yagadis were prescribed. And even though Kali Yuga is said to be the worst yuga in terms of dharma and adharma and their ratios, the only positive about Kali Yuga is that in this janma, in this yuga, we can get Sadgati by just Bhagavan Nama Smarana, by Nama Sankirtana itself. So we had seen so many shlokas from Purana showing the greatness of Nama Sankirtanam and Bhagavan Nama Smaranam. And what we had concluded with last lecture was the authority of the Arthavadas. The Pankti Shankaracharya writes is अन्यान्वितस्वार्थे पदानां सामर्थ्यं न कार्यान्वितस्वार्थे तथा सति अर्थवादानाम् अन्वयप्रसंगात् अन्वयबुद्धेः स्तुतित्वात्. So, in order to understand this shloka, one must first know what arthavadas are. So, Vedas can be split into two bhagas, which are the mantra bhaga and brahmana bhaga. This is why in Mimamsa Shastra, Jaimini Maharishi writes, Mantra Brahmanayor Vedanamadheyam. The Samuha or combination of both the mantra and brahmana forms one Veda. So what is mantra, what is brahmana? Mantra are stutis or stotras to certain devatas like Agni, Indra, Mitra, Varuna. The stutis that praise the gunas of those devatas are called mantras. The Brahmanas give certain vyakhyanas, certain explanations, and certain prayoga of mantras. For example, we have the mantra Apo Ishta Mayo Bhavaha. With this mantra, one must do marjana. But how do we know that? Because if we don't have the Brahmana, the mantra will just sitting there separately. But the Brahmana is the portion of the Veda that gives the Kriya. So there the Brahmana Vakya becomes Apohishtamayo bhavagityadbhirma arjayante. So by using the mantra Apohishta adbhihim arjayante, one must do marjana with water. So these are the type of vakyas that give the mantras prayojana. Or else in the yaga, there will be no prayojana without the Brahmana Vakya and the Kalpasutra Vakyas that give us the Kriya that we need. So, and the other type of Brahmana Bhaga is Arthavada. So, Arthavada are passages of the Brahmanas in Vedas that give various stories. So, the Purva Paksha raised by the Purva Mimamsakas is all this Upanishad and all these things, they don't have any Vidhi or Nishedha. So they say that Vidhi and Nishedha is what forms Veda. This Veda is the Vidhi Nishedhatmaka. So Vidhi means Vidhi is to do certain kriyas, and Nishedhas meaning certain karmas should be avoided at all costs. So by doing the Vidhi Vakyas, one gets punya, and by doing the Nishedha Vakyas, one gets papa. So dharma, as we saw in the first few lectures, was chodana rakshanartho dharma. So whatever means we have for papa kshaya is said to be as a dharma. If we do the Nishedha Vakyas, that becomes adharma. So the Upanishads, they don't have any kriya. If you look, there is no kriya to do any yaga. There is no somena ijeta, agnihotram ijeta, all darshapurna masabhyam ijeta. These vakyas are not there in Upanishads. So the Purva Mimamsakas, meaning the Karma Kandins, they claim that the Upanishads have no vidhi or nishedha. So just like these Arthavadas, all they do is that they give the Yajamana Utsaha to do karma. So, for example, if you see Arthavada that Agni did a certain yaga, then the Purusha, he gets raga. He wants to do that yaga because Agni is so great with all the lakshanas for a devata. So if Agni did a yaga, then he would also want to do that yaga because it has been done by Agni before. So it gives the Purusha pravritti, it gives the Purusha raga, it gives the Yajamana utsaha to do that Vedic karma which was already prescribed in the mantra push. So like that, the Purva Mimamsakas claim that the Arthavadas don't have any other prayojana. If you say Aham Brahmasmi, that is just saying I am Brahman. So it is giving the utsaha to the Yajamana to do yagas. But otherwise, there is no Vidhi and Nisheda, so they do not have any prayoga in Kriya. This is the Purva Paksha raised by Mimamsa. So this is the basic background that we must know. So अन्वयान्वितस्वार्थे पदानां सामर्थ्यं न कार्यान्वितस्वार्थे तथा सति अर्थवादानाम् अन्वयप्रसङ्गात् अन्वयबुद्धेः स्तुतित्वात्. So the Vedas, they give knowledge as to a thing that already exists. Anvayabuddhehe stutitvat. So it has been said that if in establishing one's mata, the words that impart knowledge other than kriya, meaning the arthavadas, if they have sarthaka, then why cannot these vakyas in the Upanishads, why do they not have any artha when it comes to Atma Jnana? So this is what Shankaracharya is saying. So if the Mimamsakas accept the Arthavadas that don't have any kriyas, because when you look at all these stories and everything, there is no kriya in that. Then what is holding you from accepting the Upanishads as well? Because the Upanishad is the base for Vedanta. This Vedanta, people say it is the end of the Vedas. That is not true. Vedanta meaning is it should be implemented last in one's life. By doing all the Purva Bhaga karmas in getting Chitta Shuddhi, by that, Tadvara one should do Upanishads Vichara at the end, after already attaining all the sadhana chatushtayas and everything like that. So, because it is said by Vedas and it is the last thing to implement in one's life, the word Vedanta comes. Not because it is the last Bhaga in the Vedas. In so many Vedas, the Upanishads are preceded, and in the ending also there are Karma Kanda Bhagas. For example, Aitareya Upanishad in Rigveda, the Prashna before that is Karma Kanda, In the middle is Upanishad, and then again there is Karma Kanda again. So Vedanta is the last portion of Veda is not correct. Instead, it should be taken as the Anta, or what one should implement at the end of one's life to get Purnatva. So here Shankaracharya in the Pankti he is writing in the in the Bhashya Pankti, Nahi bhavati, and he quotes a mantra, Vayavyam Shvetamala Bheda Bhutikamo Vayurvai Kshepishtha Devata iti. In the second kanda of Krishna Yajurveda, we say this mantra. Vayavyagashvetamala bhutikamo vayurvaikshepishtha devata vagameva svena bhagate yenopadhavati. So here there are two bhagas. The Kriya bhaga, the Vidhiva bhaga, and the Arthavada bhaga. So we should not think that the Arthavada will be somewhere else. It can be within the same mantra without even any stop. So the Kriya Bhaga is Vayavyam Shvetam Alabheta Bhutikamaha. And the Arthavada part is Vayurvai Kshepishtha Devata. So the Kriya is Vayavyam Shvetam Alabheta Bhutikamaha. So a Bhutikama, the one that desires Aishwarya or Bhuti, he must do a Vayavatmaka Yaga and sacrifice a white Aja or goat. Vayavyam Shvetam Alabheta Bhutikamaha. And why the Arthavada proceeds? Vayurvai Kshepishtha Devata. Because Vayuhu Kshepishtha Devata, he is a Shighra Palaprada Devata. By doing a Vayavatmaka Yaga, the Yajamana gets the Punya immediately or very fastly. Because Vayurvai Kshepishtha Devata. So he is a Shighra Palaprada Devata. He gives the Phalita immediately. So this gives Utsaha to the Yajamana to do a Vayavatmaka Yaga. So when the Mimamsakas accept this, Vayurvai Kshepishtha Devata, which is in the Karma Kanda Bhaga, that is Arthavada, why cannot they accept the Upanishad Bhagas, which are also parts of the Vedas? Iti. Ragaseva Pravartakam na Niyogasya. And Shankaracharya says, Ragasya eva Pravartakatvam na Niyogasya. So this only gives raga or desire to do that yaga to the yajamana, but it does not have any vinyoga, na niyogasya. So by Vayurvai Kshepishtha Devata, there is no kriya that can be performed there. So basically, the point is what Shankaracharya is making is when you, the Mimamsakas, you accept the Arthavadas without any kriyas, why should you not accept the Upanishad Bhagas that also do not have any kriyas? So just like how this Vayurvai Kshepishtha Devata is a Arthavada portion of this mantra, and you accept that without any Viniyoga or karma attached to it, because it gives you the raga, why should not you accept the Upanishad Bhagas that teach us the Vidya we need to attain moksha or for moksha prapti? And he quotes, Tatha cha smritihi atho khalvahuhu kamamaya evayam purusha iti sa yaya kamo bhavati tat kratur bhavati yat kratur bhavati tat karma kurite yat karma tat abhisampadhyate. So they say that a person is made up of kama, and as is kama, so is his action, and as his action, as is his kama, so is his sankalpa, and as his sankalpa is karma, and whatever karma he does, he gets the phalita of that. In Vedas also we see manasadhyayati, karmana karoti. So all these things, first the raga, desire leads to a sankalpa, and the sankalpa leads to karma, and the karma leads to phala. Tata abhisampatyate. And tatha cha smritirapi akamasya kriya kajate drishyate neha kasyachit yad yadhi kurute karma tat tat kamasya cheshtitam iti. And Manusmriti also says there is not a single karma or action that is free from desire. So there is no action in the world that does not have a desire attached to it. For whatever the Purusha does, that is a impulse of the Kama itself. And Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Kama esha krodha esha iti. So Krishna says, Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhava. And Sankalpa Prabhavat Kama. So all these things are coming from Sankalpa. And these are all Rajoguna Sambandha Vishayas. Iti Anyaparaణam api mantrarthavadanam pramanyam angikartavyam tesham apramani tesham apramanya kathanena uragatvam gatavan nahushah tat katham iti. So the Arthavadas are definitely authoritative. We see that Veda is the ultimate pramana. Compared to Shruti, Smriti, Itihasa, Puranas, everything, the highest pramana, the Nirapeksha pramana is for the Vedas only. So when you look at the Vedas, you have to look at everything. You cannot just look at Karma Kanda and not look at Jnana Kanda. You cannot just look at Mantra and not look at Brahmana. You cannot just look at certain Vakyas and not look at Arthavada. And you cannot look at Arthavada and ignore Upanishad. So Vedasya hi nirapeksham pramanyam raveriva rupa vishaye. So the nirapeksha pramanam, there is no apeksha, there is no even thought of questioning the authority of Vedas. Just like how in the rupa raveriva rupa vishaye, just like how the sun cannot be questioned in terms of rupa or form. Like that, the Vedas cannot be questioned by any means in any portion by anyone. So the authoritative nature of the Arthavada pertaining to mantras should be accepted. And they give a different view of the Vedas, meaning they support the mantra and they support the passages of the Vedas. And by declaring them, meaning the Arthavada passages, as apramana, the king Nahusha became a sarpa, is what Shankaracharya is saying. Tesham apramanya kathanena uragatvam gatavan nahushaha. So, a story in Mahabharata, we see that Nahusha had the Saptarishis as the palanquin bearers. And they asked him, do you consider the Arthavadas as pramana? And he says no. And for that, he becomes a Sarpa, and later Yudhishthira comes in his Vamsha and gives him Vimochana from this Shapa and sends him back to Swarga. So, Tat Katham. So, now Shankaracharya is quoting from Mahabharata the story of Nahusha, meaning he is showing how dangerous it is to not accept portions of Vedas. So, there was a person called Nahusha that did not accept the Arthavada portions, and look at his gati. Similarly, the Purva Mimamsakas should not negate the Arthavada of the Pramanika of Upanishads. So Tat Katham, and he says, he quotes now from Mahabharata. ऋषयस्तु परिश्रान्ता बाह्यमाना दुरात्मना देवर्षयो महाभागस्तथा ब्रह्मर्षयो मलाः पप्रच्छुः संशयन्ते तु नहुषं पापचेतसं य इमे ब्रह्मणा प्रोक्ता मन्त्रा वै प्रोक्षणे गवाम् एते प्रमाणं भवत उताहो नेति वासव नहुषो नेतितानाः सहसा मूढचेतनः ऋषय ऊचुः अधर्मे सम्प्रवृत्तस्त्वं धर्मं च विजिघृक्षसि प्रमाणमेतदस्माकं पूर्वं प्रोक्तं महर्षिभिः अगस्त्योवाच ततो विवदमानः सन् ऋषिभिः सह पार्थिवः अथ माम् अस्पृशन् मूर्ध्नि पादेन अधर्मपीडितः तेनाद्भूतद्धचयता सह निःश्रीकश्च शचीपते ततस्तम् अहम् उद्वग्निः अवोचं भयपीडितं यस्मात् पूर्वैः कृतं मार्गं महर्षिभिः अनुत्तिष्ठितम् अदृष्टं दुष्यसि वै अदृष्टं दूषयसि वै यच्च मूर्ध्यस्पृशः पदा यच्चापि त्वं ऋषीन्मूढ ब्रह्मकल्पान् दुरासदन् वाहान् कृत्वा वाहयसि तेन स्वर्गाद्धतप्रभः त्वं रूप त्वं रूपापप्रपरिभ्रष्टः क्षीणपुण्यो महीपते दशवर्षसहस्राणि सर्परूपधरो महीं विचरिष्यसि तीर्णश्च पुनः स्वर्गम् अवाप्स्यसि इति श्रीमहाभारते. In the Udyoga Parva, we can find this. So the rishis were ordered by Nahusha, who is said to have Durmati, to be the palanquin bearers. So even this did not cause Nahusha's sarpatva. Even though he has done so many aparadhas, the greatest aparadha that he did was not accepting the Arthavada's pramanya. So Rishagastu Parishanta Vahyamana Duratmana Devarshago Mahabhagastatha Brahmarshago Malaha. So the rishis who are Amalaha of pure Mati, they were ordered by Nahusha to be the palanquin bearers. And they asked him a question. O Vasava, पप्रच्छुः संशयन्ते तु नहुषं पापचेतसं ये मे ब्रह्मणा प्रोक्ता मन्त्रा वै प्रोक्षणे गवाम् एते प्रमाणं भवत उताहो नेति वासवा नहुषो नेति तानाः सहसा मूढचेतनः. So they ask Nahusha, are the Brahmana portions of the Vedas that refer to the purification of the sacrificial cows, are they authoritative or not? Prokshane gavam, mantra vai prokshane gavam. So in the sacrifices, there are certain portions to do the samskara for the pashu. So like these, are these portions authoritative or not? Do they have pramanam or not? And Nahusha, who is of Durmati, of Kumati, he responded that they are undoubtedly not authoritative. They are not pramana. The Brahmana bhagas are not pramana. Then the rishi said that you are of Durmati and you have left Dharma, and the Brahmana portions having been found by the Maharishis are authoritative to us. Then Agastya narrates there the Nahusha falling out with the rishis and put his foot on Agastya. Then he became deprived of all sense and devoid of glory. There, Agastya gave the Shapa, you have gone out of the sacred path that the Maharishis had given, and you put your foot on my shiras or my head, and you made all these other Brahmarishis as the palanquin bearers, who they are all in Brahmavichara. So, because of this, fall down from heaven, fall from Swarga, leave your all your kirti will be gone, and remain 10,000 years on Bhuloka, assuming the form of a sarpa. Dashavarshasahasrani sarparupadharo mahim. So what Agastya says. And then, by meeting King Yudhishthira, who comes in his own race. So Nahusha is Yudhishthira's ancestor. So after meeting Yudhishthira in the Udyoga Parva, then he will again reach Swarga and leave the Sarparupa and get his Swarupa back and go back to Swarga. This is the passage for that. So then Shankaracharya is saying, Iti Mahabharate Ataha Shraddheyam Atmajnanam. So because of this, the Atmajnana should be accepted with faith. Shraddheyam Atmajnanam. And he quotes from Gita about the gati for people without Shraddha. Ashraddhadana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapyaman Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani Iti Shri Bhagavad Vachanat. And from the Bhagavad Vachana, what we can see is Krishna says, Ashraddhanaha Purushaha, men without faith, not receiving this dharma, Parantapa, they do not reach me, they do not attain me, and they again return to the paths of this samsara, mrityu samsara vartmani. And in the Aitareka Aranika also we see, Aitareke cha esha pantha etat karma etat brahma etat satyam tasmat na pramadyet tat nati yat nahi अत्यायन पूर्वे ये अत्यायंस्ते पराबभूवुः. So, esha pantha etat karma. This is the pantha, this is the marga, this is the karma that one must do to attain that Brahman. Etat Brahma, etat Satyam. This is truth. Tasmat na pramadyet. And this should not be uh, left from. In Taittiriya Upanishad, we see again this pramada is said to be equivalent to mrityu itself. That's why in Taittiriya Upanishad they give us 7 types of pramadas. Satyan pramadittavyam, dharman pramadittavyam, kushana pramadittavyam, bhutena pramadittavyam, swadhyaya pravachanabhyan pramadittavyam, devapitarkaryabhyan pramadittavyam. Because this pramada is equivalent to mrityu itself, even if you're alive. So, because they have given this is the path, this is the action, this is Brahman. Esha pantha, etat karma, etat brahma, etat satyam. This is truth. Do not deviate from this, and let no man deviate from this, because the ancients, they did not leave this, and those who left this dharma, they became lost. Taduktam rishina prajaha tisnaha atyayamiyuhu yanya akarma bhitaha vivishne brahadatasto bhuvaneshvantaha pavamano harita avivesha iti. And this has been declared by a rishi that there are 3 classes of people that left the dharma and settled down around the Agni, and the great sun stood in between the lokas, and the Vayu entered the Harit, or the end of the earth. And then he continues saying, Prajaha tisraha atyayamiyuhu iti yavai ta imaha prajaha tisraha atyayamiyuhu tani imani vayamsi vanga vagadhascherapadaha. So the 3 types of people that left the dharma, they are what we see here on earth, born as Vayamsi Vanga Vagadhascherapadaha, as birds, trees, plants, and serpents. So, this is the gati of people that leave dharma. Iti shrutam Vanga Vanagaha Vrikshaha Vagadaha Oshadhayascha Irapadaha Urafpadaha Sarpadayaha is what Shankaracharya says. So, for we say as Imani Vayamsi Vanga Vagadhas Cherapadaha. So for that he says Vangaha Vanagaha Vrikshaha, meaning trees, Vagadaha Voshadayascha, Irapada, the plants, Irapadaha, Urapadaha, Sarpadaya, and all these Sarpas. So this is the gati of the 3 types of people that left dharma. Tatha cha Ishavasya Abhidvan Nindartha Mantraha. And Ishavasya Upanishad contains the mantra Asurya namate loka andhena tamasa vrataha tagiste pretyabhigachanti yeke chatmahano janaha. So Ishavasya says there are the words of the asuras covered with andhakara, blindness, and darkness, and those who have destroyed their self go after marana. After marana, they go to these words iti. And in Taittiriya Upanishad, we see असन्नेव स भवति असद्ब्रह्मेति वेद चेत् इति तैत्तरीये असन्नेव स भवति. He who knows Brahman as non-existing becomes himself non-existing. Asan eva sa bhavati asat brahma iti veda chet. Iti taittiriye. Tatha Shakuntalopakhyaने, in the Shakuntalopakhyaana, we see Yonyatha Santamatmanam Anyatha Pratipadyate Kim Tena Nakritam Papam Chorenatma Paharina. Meaning, what papa is not committed by the chora or thief who deprives himself of this Atmajnana by thinking that the self is the one that is being uh, diversified. Iti alam atiprasangena. Now Shankaracharya himself says we have had enough of this topic. Iti alam atiprasangena. So now we have given so much context as to why the Vedas are authoritative, what happens to the people that do not believe in this. So now Shankaracharya says that these quotations are enough to prove this point. And now he goes to the new topic. Sahasranama Japasya Anurupam Manasasnanam Uchyate. So this Sahasranama Japa that is to precede this portion, it is said to be as a Manasasnanam. The Mahabharata says, Yasmin Devascha Vedascha Pavitram Kritsnamekatam Vraje Tat Manasam Tirtham Tatra Snatva Mrito Bhavet Jnanahrade Dhyana Jale Ragadvesha Malapahe Yasnati Manase Tirthe Sayati Paramam Gatim. So we can look at this first. That is the Manasa Tirtha or mental snana, mental bath, by bathing wherein the Devas and the Vedas they attain purity, perfection, and oneness. And having bathed in this Manasa Tirtha, one attains immortality. Yasmin Devascha Vedascha Pavitram Krishnamekatam Rajetan Manasam Tirtham Tattvasnatva Amrito Bhavet. So one gets Amrita by this Manasa Tirtha. As we saw, like all these Janhavyadi Tirthas, by doing snana once, again the next day one becomes Ashuddhi. Or by any Ashuddhi, we have to keep doing it again. But for this, this leads to Amrita. And Jnana Hrade Dhyana Jale Ragadvesha Malapahe Yasnati Manase Tirthe Sayati Paramam Gatim. And he who bathes in this Manasa Tirtha, in depth of this knowledge and in the waters of meditation that remove the mala of raga and dvesha, of desire and hatred, they also attain the supreme gati, paramam gatim. Saraswati rajorupa tamorupa kalindaja sattvarupa cha ganga cha nayanti brahma nirgunam. And the Atman is the river filled with the water of self-control. Truth is the depth, and rightness is the conduct in the bank, and compassion is the wave. Atma nadi संयमतो purna satyahrata शीलतदा दयोभिः शीलतटा दयोर्भिः तत्रावगाहं kuru पाण्डुपुत्र navarina शुद्ध्यति चान्तरात्मा. So again, this Saraswati is said to be Rajo Rupa, and Tamo Rupa is Kalindaja, Sattva Rupa is Ganga cha Nayati Brahma Nirgunam. So even by all these things, you cannot attain the Nirguna. And the Atman is the river filled with this. Atma Nadi Sanyamatoya Purna. So this filled with Sanyama. सत्यह्रदा शीलतटादयोर्मिः तत्रावगाहं कुरु पाण्डपुत्र नवारिण शुद्ध्यति चान्तरात्मा. And the manas, the atma is not purified by ordinary water. Navarina shuddhyati chantaratma iti Mahabharate. So what is this manasa smaranam, manasa snanam? So until now we have said that this manasa snana is of highest importance. So what is that? In Smriti he quotes, Shankaracharya quotes, Manasam snanam Vishnu chintanam iti smrito. So the chintana or smarana or thought of Vishnu, the one that is sarvavyapi, Ishvara, Paramatma, is said to be Manasam snanam. It is smrito. And again he quotes a Manusmriti Vachana which he already had quoted before. जप्ये नैव तु संसिध्येत ब्राह्मणो नात्र संशयः कुर्यादन्यन्न कुर्यादन्यन्न वा कुर्यात् मैत्रो ब्राह्मण उच्यते. Again, for Kim Japan Muchate Jantur, for the Uttara of that, Shankaracharya had quoted this sloka already. But again, he is quoting because there is a necessity here also. Japye naiva tu samsiddhyet. By japa only does a brahmana reach siddhi. Brahmano natra samshayah kuryat anyat nava kuryat maitro brahmana uchyate. Whether he performs the other Vedic karmas or not, he who does this is said to be a true brahmana. Maitro brahmana uchyate. And he also, the one that has a Maitri Bhava to all pranis, is said to be a true Brahmana. So, Japye Naivata Samsiddhyet Brahmano Natra Samshayah Kuryat Anyat Nava Kuryat Maitraha Brahmanaha Uchyate. So, one only gets perfection through this, or Siddhi through this mantra japa. Iti Malavam Vajanam. And again he quotes, Japastu sarvadharmebhyah paramo dharma uchyate ahimsaya cha bhutanam japa yajna pravartate. Japa is said to be the best of all dharmas. Japastu sarvadharmebhyah paramo dharma uchyate. It is said to be the parama dharma. And this ahimsa to all bhutas is the thing that precedes the japa sacrifice. Ahimsaya cha bhutanam japa yajna pravartate. So one cannot just do japa and still have all the mala, kama, krodha and doing nishedhas. So before any japa gets siddhi, first one must have all these sattva gunas, and only then will japa have phalita. Iti. And again quoting from Gita, Yajnanam japa yajñosmi iti Sri Gitasu. Bhagavan says that of all yajnas, I am the yajna of japa. And because we don't need any external sahaya from other purushas, other dravyas, there is no himsa, there is no time in which one should do it. It should be done in the day, it should be done in the night, it should be done in this ritu. Like that, there is no restriction for this japa yajna. So, because it can be done by all, and this is the one that actually gives a clear marga to chitta shuddhi if done with all the sadhana chatushtayadis. This can be the easiest way for moksha. Because even in the beginning, Shankaracharya, he writes in the Bhashya, Yudhishthira asks Bhishma, what is the alpa prayasam and analpa phalam? So alpa prayasam meaning with minimal effort and analpa phala with great effect. And for that, he is giving this answer in all the shlokas. And again, in Padma Purana, he quotes Apavitrah Pavitrova Sarvavasthang Gatopiva Yasmaret Pundarikaksham Sabhahyabhyantara Shuchihi. We hear in all the pujas that we do, when we do prokshana and we say the shloka and do prokshana for Shuchi or cleanliness of all internal and external objects and beings. Apavitraha pavitrova. If whether one is pure or not, Sarvavasthang gatopi va, in whatever vyavastha, whatever condition he may be, he who remembers, who does smarana of Pundarikaksha, Yasmaret Pundarikaksham, Saha Bahya Abhyantaraha Shuchihi, he is purified both internally and externally. Ityadi. Yadekam Daivatam Prastutam Tasya Upalakshanam Uchyate. So, already in Daivatam Devatanam cha, we got the Lakshana of Deva. Here, he is now going to the next sloka. So, for the past almost 3-4 lectures, we have just been looking at this Pavitrana Pavitram Yo sloka. Now, the next sloka is starting. Yadekam Daivatam Prastutam Tasya Upalakshanam Uchyate. So, now the Lakshana of Brahman is being described in the next sloka. यतः सर्वाणि भूतानि भवन्त्यादियुगागमे यस्मिंश्च प्रलये यान्ति पुनरेव युगक्षये. When doing Parayana of the shloka, the first thing that comes to one's mind is the Tatastha Lakshana of Brahman. By this Yataha, the Tatastha Lakshana, when we look at the second sutra in Chatussutri, or second sutra of the Brahma Sutra is written by Badarayana Vedavyasa, Janmadhyasya Yataha. Yataha, from where all this Janma, Marana, Janma, Jiva and Marana, or the Srishti Sthiti Layas are coming from. Yataha, Janmadhyasya Yataha. And for that, in the Bhashya, the Tatastha Lakshana of Brahman is described. As we see in Taittiriya Upanishad. Yato va imani bhutani jagante yena jatani jivanti yat praganti abhisamvishanti. Whatever we see in the Veda format, we see almost the same thing in the Shloka format. Yatas sarvani bhutani bhavanti adi yugagame yasminscha pralayanyanti punareve yugakshaye. So, the same Paramatma takes the form of Shiva in the Samhara Kala, Vishnu in the Sthiti Kala, and Brahma the Srishti Kala. Srishti Sthiti Laya corresponds to Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, where Brahma has the Rajoguna because of his Kama, his desire to do Srishti. Vishnu maintains the Sattva Guna for preserving life, and Shiva takes the Tamoguna in the sense of the Andhakara Nivarana. So, the meaning of this Tatastha Lakshanam, first we have to know what the Swarupa Lakshanam and Tatastha Lakshanam, where we see the actual definition of Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So, Brahman is Satyam Jnanam and Anantam. But how do we see it? For that we need the Tatastha Lakshanam. Yatova imani bhutani jayante. From where imani bhutani, all these beings are born, yena jatani jivanti, by which Shakti they remain alive. Yena jatani jivanti, the previously born beings they remain alive, and yat prayanti abhisamvishanti. At the end, into which they enter, in which they dissolve into, which is the same as where they came from. Yat prayanti abhisamvishanti. So again at the end they dissolve into back where they came from, which is the Lakshanam of Paramatman. So that is why Shankaracharya proceeded with Yadekam Devatam Prastutam Tasya Upalakshanam Uchyate. The Upalakshana of this Deva or Brahman is being described. And for that the Bhashya he says is Yataha Yasmat Sarvani Bhutani Udbhavanti Adi Yugagame Kalpado. As mentioned, Yataha Yasmat, from where Sarvani Bhutani Bhavanti Udbhavanti Adi Yugagame Kalpado. So that from which all beings came out in the beginning of the Yuga, Kalpado, Adi Yuga Game. So the word is Bhavanti Adi Yuga Game. Yataha Sarvani Bhutani Bhavanti. Bhavanti, Shankaracharya says, Udbhavanti. Udbhavanti means they are formed from which? Adi Yuga Game. In the beginning, in the Adi, in the Kalpado, in the beginning of Srishti. And then next, Yasmin cha pralayam vilayam yanti vinasham gachanti punaha bhuyaha eva iti avadharanarthaha न अन्यस्मिन् इत्यर्थः युगक्षये महाप्रलये इति. So this eva is meaning they only go there, not anywhere else. So we'll look at this. Yasmin cha pralayam vilayam yanti vinasham gachanti. So to where they go at the end. Yasmin cha pralayam vilayam yanti vinasham gachanti. And punaha bhuyaha again eva iti avadharanarthah na anyasmin ityarthah yugakshe mahapralaya. So in the end of the yuga, the mahapralaya samaya, to where they attain, and the eva is there, right? Yasminscha pralayam yanti punaha eva yugakshe. What does this eva mean? This eva means avadharana. It means it is only there. They do not go anywhere else. It's not saying they come from one place and they go to a different place, or they could go to a different place. Wherever they came from, they have to go and not anywhere else. Eva iti avadharanarthah na anyasmin ityarthah yugakshe mahapralaye. चकारात् मध्येपि यस्मिन् तिष्ठन्ति यतो वा इमानि भूतानि येन जातानि जीवन्ति यत्पर्यन्ति अभिसंविशन्ति इति श्रुतेः. So in between these two is the yena jatani jivanti. Chakaran madhyepi yasmins tishtanti. So between wherever they came from and wherever they go at the end, wherever they stay now, yasmins tishtanti, that is also Paramatman. So yato va imani bhutani yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti bisamvishanti iti shrutehe is we already saw before. So this is what Shankaracharya quotes as the Tatastha Lakshanam of Brahman. So the sloka was Yatas sarvani bhutani bhavantyadi yuga game yasminscha pralayanti punareva yugakshaye. The next sloka is Tasya loka pradhanasya jagannathasya bhupate Vishnur nama sahasram me shunu papa bhayapaham. Tasya एवं लक्षण लक्षितस्य एकदैवतस्य लोकप्रधानस्य लोकनहेतुभिः विद्यास्थानैः प्रतिपाद्यमानस्य जगन्नाथस्य जगतां नाथः स्वामी माया मायाशबलः परमात्मा निर्लेपश्च तस्य भूपते महीपाल विष्णोः व्यापनशीलस्य नामसहस्रं नाम्नां सहस्रं अशुभकर्म कृतं पापं संसारलक्षणभयं चापहन्ति इति पापभयापहं त्वं मे मत्तः शृणु एकाग्रमनसा भूत्वावधारय इत्यर्थः. सो तस्य लोकप्रधानस्य जगन्नाथस्य भूपते विष्णोर्नामसहस्रं मे शृणु पापभयापहम्. So he is saying that I will teach these names, and he is saying to listen of that, listen to them. And who's tasya loka pradhanasya jagannathasya Vishnoho. So his nama sahasram, the compilation of 1,000 names, and this will lead you away from bhaya, because dvitiyadvai bhayam bhavati, because if there is no dvitiya, there will be no bhaya. So he is saying to listen to these names, and these names remove all bhaya and papa bhayapaham. So the first word is of Vishnu, Vishnoho, meaning of Vishnus. Tasya evam lakshana lakshitasya ekadevatasya lokapradhanasya lokanahetubihi vidyasthanaihi pratipadyamanasya jagannathasya. So evam lakshana lakshitasya, the person, the entity with these purvokta lakshanas, lakshana lakshitasya, the one that has these lakshanas that were described in all the previous shlokas, ending with yatas sarvani bhutani bhavanti adigagame yasminscha pranimyanti punarevivakshye tadrishasya लोकप्रधानस्य लोकनहेतुभिः विद्यास्थानैः प्रतिपाद्यमानस्य जगन्नाथस्य लोकनहेतुभिः विद्यास्थानैः. As we saw before, Kimekam Daivatam Loke, here Loka does not mean world. World means by which we see, meaning the Shastras. So that's why Shankaracharya says Vidyasthanaihi Pratipadyamanasya, the one that is described and discussed by all of these Vidyasthanas, those. सो एवं तस्य एवं लक्षणलक्षितस्य एकदैवतस्य लोकप्रधानस्य लोकनहेतुभिः. सो फॉर लोकप्रधानस्य द मीनिंग इज लोकनहेतुभिः विद्यास्थानैः प्रतिपाद्यमानस्य. सो दैट परमात्मन which can be seen by the shastra drishtanta, by the vidyasthanas, and the one that is being pratipadana of done pratipadana by those vidyasthanas. And Jagannathasya Jagadam Natah Swami Mayashabalah Paramatma Nillepascha Tasya Jagannathasya, meaning he is the Swami of the entire Jagat. Jagadam Natah Swami Mayashabalah Paramatma Nillepascha, the one that is above Maya, Maya Shabalah Paramatma Nillepah. Tasya Bhupate Mahipala Vishnoho. Mahipala means the one that does Palana of Mahi or Bhudevi. Bhupate Mahipala Vishnoho Vyapanashilasya. Vyapanashilasya means the one that is Sarvavyapin, the one that is omnipresent. Nama Sahasram, Nam Sahasram Ashubhakarma Kritam Papam Samsara Lakshana Bhayam Chapahanti iti Papa Bhayam Tvam me Mattaha Shunu Ekagramana Bhutvavadharya iti artha. So the 1,000 names that Ashubha Karma Kritam Papam Samsara Lakshana Bhayam Chapahanti iti. So the 1,000 names that are not just ordinary names, but they remove the Ashubha Karma Kritam Papam, the papa that is done by this Ashubha, by inauspiciousness, and Samsara Lakshana Bhayam, and the Bhaya. So it's the namas that remove both Bhaya and Papam. Ashubha Karma Kritam Papam Samsara Lakshana Bhayam cha Apahanti, or they remove it by these namas. Papa Bhayapaham. Tvam me mattaha shunu. Me means mattaha. From me shunu. Ekagramanasa bhutvadharaya ityartha. So he is saying that you should listen. Yudhishthira should listen to these 1,000 names that remove both papa and punya, and with the ekagra manasa, with only this in the manas, without anything else. And now he quotes from Vishnu Dharma certain shlokas that show what is the lakshana of Ishvara. एकस्यैव समस्तस्य ब्रह्मणो द्विजसत्तम नाम्नां भूत्वं लोकानाम् उपकारकरं शृणु निमित्तशक्तयो नाम्नां भेदिन्यस्तत् उदीरणात् विभिन्नान्येव साध्यन्ते फलानि द्विजसत्तम यच्छक्तिनाम यत्तस्य तत्तस्मिन्नेव वस्तुनि साधकं पुरुषव्याघ्र सौम्ये क्रूरेषु वस्तुषु इति विष्णुधर्मवचनात् यद्यपि परस्य ब्रह्मणः षष्ठीगुणक्रियाजातिरूढीनां शब्दप्रवृत्तिहेतुभूतानां निमित्तशक्तीनां च असम्भवः, तथापि सगुणे ब्रह्मणि सविकारे च सर्वात्मकत्वात् तेषां शब्दप्रवृत्तिहेतूनां सम्भवात् सर्वे शब्दाः परस्मिन् पुंसे वर्तन्ते. So with this we can conclude this shloka and look at the rest of the bhashya for the shloka in the next lecture. तस्य लोकप्रधानस्य जगन्नाथस्य भूपते विष्णोर्नाम सहस्रं मे शृणु पापभयापहम्. सद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः.
Thank you, Pranav. Thank you very much for the elaborating on the Nahusha story today. And everybody probably knows that part that where he kicked Agastya and he became Sarpa. But I think the key learning point is he also was disrespecting the Arthavadas, and that was that because of the disrespecting the Veda Pramanyam becomes the more important point. And you touched upon all the parts, the mantras, the brahmanas, the Upanishads, everything have to be taken with the equal importance. And and also the the Jagat, the Sarupa Lakshanam and Tatastha Lakshanam, which you described very well. And I just want to share my little thought on the Sarupa Lakshanam. Tatastha Lakshanam is the once there was a lecture and somebody asked me, the example I gave is, you are describing a house. You tell the house has a brown roof, 10 windows, 2 doors. You are actually describing the house itself. Then you tell somebody there is an antenna sitting on top of the house, or there is a red post box in front of the house where there's a red post box. That house is this house. So that is the Tatastha Lakshanam. And then the Vyavriti Lakshanam is, you are telling it is not the black house, it is not the green house, it is not the red house. So whatever is remaining is the house. So basically, when you are describing the house itself, it becomes the Sarupa Lakshanam. When you are giving a like the red post box or a floor, there is a flower garden, and the house which is close to the flower garden, that is Tatastha Lakshanam. And when you tell it is not the other houses, the remaining house becomes the house also. So and the way you described is very nicely the Lakshanam and everything, and very thankful for you to describe all this for us. Namaskarams.
Namaskar.
Any comments, Somaji or Kumar Samiji?
I'm fine. I didn't know there was so much meaning to that. Vishnu Tasya Loka Pradhanasya Jagannathasya Bhupate and all that. It's new to me, so it was really nice to hear all that stuff.
Thank you. Let me finish off with the final one and then we can continue. Okay, a few minutes.
मंगलम गुरु श्री चंद्रमौलीश्वर के, शक्ति गणपति शारदांबिके शंकराचार्यर के, शक्ति गणपति महागणपति शारदांबिके के, काल भैरव के, काली दुर्गै के, वीर धीर शूर हनुम मारुति चरणतिर्के, मल्लिकार्जुनर के, செல்வ ஜனார்தனர் கே, அம்பா பவானி கம்பத கணபதி சண்டி சாமுண்டி கே, ஸ்ரீ கிருஷ்ண பகவான் கே, ஸ்ரீ சக்கரவாசினி கே, சீதாராம லக்ஷ்மண சகித மாருதி சரணத்திற்கே, வித்யாரண்யர் கே, विद्या शंकरके वागीश्वरिके वज्रदेग गरुड आंजनेयरके श्रीवल्ली देवसेना समेत सुब्रह्मण्यरके तुंगभद्रैके श्रृंगनिवासिनिके श्रृंगेरी पुरिயில் நிலைத்திருக்கும் எங்கள் சாரதாம்பிகைக்கே सच्चिदानंद शिव अभिनव नृसिंह भारती के श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु सार्वभौमर के श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु विद्यातीर्थर के श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु भारती तीर्थर के श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु विदुशेखर भारती के मंगलम गुरु श्री चंद्रमौलीश्वर के शक्ति गणपति शारदाम्बिक शंकराचार्यर के शक्ति गणपति महागणपति शारदाம்பிகை के श्रृंगेरी पुरिயில் நிறைந்திருக்கும் எங்கள் சாரதாம்பிகைக்கே